Hello, my name is Nikoti Keating, the founder of mytaptrack. Today I'm going to walk you through how to install mytaptrack for yourself and have your own version of the system. In order to do this, you're going to have to open up an AWS account or use your existing AWS account. To do that, you go to aws.amazon.com and you click this Create Account button and you can create a free account. Then you go back to mytaptrack.com and on the top, look for the link that says Install. And we're going to click on that. And then we're going to scroll down past the AWS logo and click on the Setup Installer button. And this is going to open up the ability to install mytaptrack in your AWS account. Now, if you didn't want to install in where I have it set, which is US West 2, the way that you do that is you'd go back to the mytaptrack.com and select which region you wanted to install. So if you're in England, you choose the England region. If you're in Australia, you choose the Australian region. Once you click the button, you're in here. We're going to leave the defaults. We're just going to click Next. And it's going to automatically name the stack mytaptrack installer. And we're going to type in a password. And this is going to be the password that we're going to use to access the installer. Then we're going to select a subnet and we're going to select the VPC. And by default, there's going to be subnets and VPC. You don't really have to think too much about it. Just select the ones that are there. If you are in an established AWS account, double check to make sure that you're going to have access to where this EC2 instance is going to be deployed. All right, so now we're going to come in. We're going to click this button down here on the next page that says, I acknowledge that this CloudFormation could create an IAM roles. That's the way that AWS provides permissions to make updates to AWS resources, which we're going to be doing. So we're going to check that checkbox and click Next. And then on this page, we're just going to scroll to the bottom and click Submit. And this is going to start the installer process. Now, this process can take a few minutes. It's going to be setting up the permissions for the server. It's going to be installing stuff. And the server is designed to be running on a very small machine that operates in the free tier. So as long as after you're done doing the installation, you click the button that says Remove the mytaptrack installer, you shouldn't be charged for it. And so this is going to take a little bit, so we'll come back as soon as it's finished. All right, the stack just finished. So now we're going to click over here on the outputs, and that will have the URL that you can open up in your web browser. And I'm just going to open up a new tab. If you see this page, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just that the server is starting up. So it'll either automatically refresh or you can click the refresh button. And then you'll see this page right here. And we're going to go ahead and click in here. And we're going to type in that password that we put in earlier. And then we're going to select the region that we want to deploy to. And then we're going to press the Bootstrap region button. And what this is going to do is it's going to set up some infrastructure that we're going to keep around even if we remove stuff, because it's going to store your configuration files that we're putting together. And then we're going to name the deployment that we're doing. I'm going to name this one Dev. I'm then going to press Enter, and that'll allow us to continue on with the configuration. So after I hit Enter, I'm going to have a choice to set a DNS record. For the cheapest option, I wouldn't click this button, but if you wanted to set up a custom domain record like mytaptrack.myschool.com, this is where you do that. So I'm going to click Next, and this is where we're going to set up the website itself. And so here we're going to click on the little checkbox that says publicly host website. And this is going to make the website publicly available so you can get to it via URL without having to have a lot of network infrastructure set up. We're going to leave the checkbox on the username sign in, and we're going to click Next. And this portion of the setup is actually going to focus on networking and logging and how alerts are going to be sent to the team that's monitoring this system. So if you're setting this up for the first time, just a quick note under logging, you might have a button that asks you to set up a logging bucket. Just click that button. It'll set it up really quickly. And then you can just click next, and that just sets up logging for if data was being accessed. Now we're just going to go over and click the next button, and we're going to go and decide what we're going to do about encryption. So by default, DynamoDB and all the data storage is encrypted. It's just encrypted with AWS keys. You can create your own keys, and that is an option, but you don't have to. And whenever you create your own security encryption keys, it costs you a little bit of money. So we're going to go ahead and skip that. We're going to come to notifications. Notifications you don't need, but this is how the system would notify or send alerts out of the system. It's pretty easy to set up email alerts. Those you just set up an email address, it gives you a verification, etc. But we're just going to click next, go on, general configs. Just a note in here, we have templates going to the normal place, and then if all the team members are removed from a student after 90 days, that student's going to be removed from the system, so that you can quickly recover a student that people accidentally left. All right, we're going to click next. And now it's going to ask you if you want to run the system test. And this is more of like, it sets up its own account so it can validate. We don't need that, so we're just going to skip it. The next part is going to talk about updates. And this is how the system is going to update itself. And so right now we're pointing at the latest release. And we have an option to check a checkbox where it will update every week with the updates that get pushed out into this main branch or into the main release from mytaptrack. So I'm just going to check that. It gives you the ability to adjust it, but it's going to happen at midnight on Saturday. And so we're going to click the next button, and that will bring us to the deployment phase. And so the first thing to do here is to click the very top button, which is going to create the release pipeline for mytaptrack. So we're going to create the build pipeline, and we're just going to wait a little bit. This takes a little bit of time, but this is going to set up a process that you can use over and over again to do updates to the system. All right, that finished. And now we're going to do the next phase, and we're going to run the pipeline. And this is going to be the step at which it actually deploys out mytaptrack. We're just going to skip forward. The deployment itself can take close to 30 minutes to do. Part of that's setting up the infrastructure. Part of that's getting all the website pieces hooked up and everything wired back together. But at the end, you're going to end up with your pipeline, your stack being deployed. And you're going to have two links here. One is to the behavior website. And if we open that, we'll go to the behavior tracking website. And the other is going to be to the management website. And you're going to want to take these two websites and you're going to want to add them to your favorites, because as you can see down here at the bottom, the URL is not going to be a very friendly URL to remember, but it is going to be really inexpensive. All right, so at this point we've deployed out mytaptrack, but we haven't put together any licenses. And a license is basically a group of students that can all be managed by a single or a single team of people that have access to management features like turning features on, turning features off, adding admins back to students, and just overall system management. And so we're going to come over here to license. If you already have a license key, if you're a user of mytaptrack before, this is where you'd put that license key. But you're going to come up here, you're going to put in the name of the license. So for me, I'm going to say Nicodes license. This is just a friendly name. It doesn't really matter too much. Then you're going to come down here and you're going to do a comma delimited list of who should have access to sign in and get access to the administration capabilities, to be able to go in there and enroll students, etc. And so I'm going to come in here, I'm going to add myself to this. I'm going to press enter because it's just going to be me. All right, so I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to click register license. And the license is registered. So at this point, I can go back to that website and I can create an account for my own version of mytaptrack, and I will now have administrative access. If you did have data previously with mytaptrack and you had it, you wanted to put it into your own deployment of mytaptrack, we also have this thing at the bottom called the import tool, and this will allow you to upload that packet, and we will then be able to extract all that information, put it into your version of mytaptrack. Just make sure before you do that all of the users that were in the system have signed back up so that we can associate them back together. All right, I think that's it. Thank you very much.